I'm the middle child in my family, two brothers, my older brother, Matt, and my younger brother, Dylan. Growing up, Matt was always the adventurous one. He loved camping, hiking, anything that got him outside. Dylan and I were the complete opposite. We were more into video games and staying inside. But when I was about 9 years old, there was one night that changed how I felt about being outside forever. It started with Matt convincing our parents to let us camp in the backyard. It wasn't anything special, just a cheap tent he had gotten from one of his scout trips and a couple of sleeping bags. Our backyard backed up to a small patch of woods that stretched behind several houses in the neighborhood. During the day, it looked harmless, just trees and brush, but at night it felt a lot bigger than it actually was. Matt spent the entire afternoon setting up the tent like it was some kind of official expedition. He even built a small fire in the fire pit while our dad supervised. Dylan roasted marshmallows until he got bored and went back inside. My mom didn't want him sleeping outside anyway. He was only 5. Eventually, it was just Matt and me. We crawled into the tent around 10 that night. Matt brought a flashlight, and we spent a while talking and playing on a little handheld game console he had. At some point, he fell asleep. I could hear his breathing slow down beside me, but I couldn't sleep. There's something about being outside at night when you're a kid. Every sound feels louder. Every little rustle feels like something watching you. I kept hearing the wind moving through the trees behind the yard, branches scraping, leaves shifting. Then, sometime after midnight, I must have finally fallen asleep. I woke up suddenly. I didn't know why at first. It was completely dark inside the tent, except for a faint glow from the moon through the fabric. I rolled over to look at Matt. His sleeping bag was empty. At first, I figured he had gone inside to use the bathroom or something, but the tent zipper was still closed. I sat up slowly. That's when I heard something outside. Footsteps. Very slow footsteps on the grass. They weren't coming from the house. They were coming from the woods. I froze. The footsteps stopped right outside the tent. I remember holding my breath so hard my chest hurt. Then I saw the shadow. Someone was standing right against the side of the tent. You could see their outline from the moonlight behind them. It was definitely an adult, too tall to be my brother. The person just stood there, completely still. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then I heard the zipper. It moved just a tiny bit, slowly, like whoever was outside was trying not to make any noise. The zipper opened maybe an inch, then 2 inches. I didn't move. I didn't even breathe. I remember thinking maybe if I stayed still, they would think the tent was empty. Then the zipper stopped. There's a small gap at the bottom of most tents where it doesn't fully seal. I had never noticed that before, but that night I did, because suddenly an eye appeared in that gap, just one eye, pressed close to the opening, looking directly at me. My entire body locked up. I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. The eye blinked once. Then it squinted slightly, like the person was smiling. That's when I finally screamed. I kicked out of my sleeping bag and crashed backward into the tent pole. The whole tent collapsed around me. Outside, I heard someone sprinting across the yard. A second later, the back porch light snapped on. My dad burst through the back door yelling. He ran across the yard while I was still tangled in the tent fabric, crying and trying to crawl out. By the time he got to the fire pit area, whoever had been there was already gone. The police came later that night. They searched the woods behind the house, but didn't find anyone. For a while after that, my parents didn't let us play outside alone anymore. Eventually, things calmed down, or at least they tried to. But about 3 weeks later, something happened that made it even worse. I was at school during recess. Our playground had a tall metal fence that faced the street. A few of us were playing a game where you had to run to the fence to be safe. When I got there, I grabbed the bars and looked out toward the road. That's when a man walked up on the other side. He looked like a normal guy, mid-30s maybe. He smiled and said, "Hey." I didn't answer. We weren't supposed to talk to strangers through the fence. Then he said something that made my stomach drop. He said, "Your name's Daniel, right?" I felt my heart slam in my chest. I told him no. I said my name wasn't Daniel. He kept smiling. Then he said quietly, "You don't remember me?" My brain immediately flashed back to that eye in the tent, the same kind of smile, the same calm look. I ran straight to one of the teachers watching recess and pointed back toward the fence, but when they looked, the man was already gone. They ended recess early that day. My parents picked me up from school an hour later. We moved out of that neighborhood the next year. I'm in my 30s now. I still think about that night sometimes, about that eye staring through the gap in the tent, and about how that man somehow knew my name weeks later. The part that scares me the most is realizing something. He wasn't just wandering through the woods that night. He was looking for me.